Welcome back to City of God Families, a podcast produced by Coral Ridge Ministries and the Institute for Faith and Culture. I'm Pastor Rob Pacienza, and today we're talking about something we all need but sometimes forget: rest. In a world where everything seems busy, it's hard to slow down, but God has given us the gift of rest. We see this in the Bible, especially with the idea of the Sabbath. So today, we'll talk about why rest is not just something we can do if we want to, but understand it's a blessing from God. We'll also discuss how Christian families can take time to rest in a world that always wants more from us. At the heart of the Sabbath is worship and rest. In Exodus 20, verses 8 through 11, God tells his people to keep the Sabbath day holy, which means setting it apart as a special day for rest. This isn't just a rule for people in the Old Testament, it's for everyone, everywhere. The Sabbath is not a burden. It's his gift to you. It's a time to stop being busy and spend time with God. From the beginning, God set a rhythm of work and rest, not because he needed it, but because we do. After God created everything in 6 days, he rested on the seventh day, not because he was tired, but to show us an example. In a world that pushes us to do more, God calls us to stop, worship him, and remember that he is the one who gives us everything we need. Now, rest might sound easy, but it can be hard to do. With all the distractions like school, sports, and entertainment, it's easy to forget to rest. But God, in his love, wants us to put him first and make time for him. So we rest. So how can we make the Sabbath a real time of rest and worship in our busy lives? Well, it starts by setting aside special time to worship him. This is time to connect with God, remember his goodness, and rest in his love. We need to stop and remind ourselves that true rest is ultimately found in Jesus. Hebrews chapter 4, verses 9 through 10 tells us that the Sabbath is a picture of the eventual rest we will one day have in heaven with God. Jesus did the work for us, and because of that, we can rest in him. So as a family, how can you make the Sabbath a time of rest and worship, even with everything going on in our busy lives? Here's my challenge to you. This week, take time as a family to honor the Lord's Day. Maybe start with a quiet time of worship, or share a special meal where you can talk about what it means to rest in Jesus' work. Rest doesn't mean just taking a nap. It means spending time focusing on God, recharging, and reflecting on his goodness. In a world that tells us to do more and more, we often feel pressure to be productive all the time. But rest is not laziness. It's a sign that we truly trust God. When we rest in him, we show that he's in control and we don't have to do everything ourselves. Rest helps us find true peace and joy. Now, let's take some time to reflect as a family. Here's some questions to help you get started. What are some things that make it hard to stop and rest and worship? How can you make time for rest in your family's schedule? How does resting in Jesus' finished work change the way we look at everything we have to do? What's one thing you can do this week to treat the Sabbath as a gift and not a burden? I want to thank you for joining us today on the City of God Families. Don't forget to subscribe so you and your family never miss an episode. Let's continue to learn how to live faithfully for God, taking time to rest in his goodness and honoring him in every area of life. Until next time, I'm Pastor Rob Pacienza. The City of God podcast is produced by Coral Ridge Ministries and made in partnership with the Institute for Faith and Culture. Visit us at cityofgodpodcast.com to access all of our previous episodes. You can also listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, or anywhere you get podcasts. A full video version of this podcast is available on YouTube. This is the City of God podcast, where Christ meets culture.